of what we know from when we were kids and previous generations. We need to put that aside, and we need to look at the statistics and the dangers that are increasing, because this is black and white. Increased severe depression, we know. Increased productivity in life, we know, in children right now. So forget about that stoic mentality of when we were kids. Just get over it, and we have to address it. I don't care what our ego tells us. You have to address children differently. When we're talking about depression, you look at the diagnostic manual. As opposed to adults, we're talking about kids ranging from 4 or 5 to 17. There is an enormous amount of developmental change that takes place throughout that time period. A 5-year-old hardly presents the same way as a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
What we tend to notice is pre-adolescence tends to be more irritable and oppositional and defiant and just a difficult child, leading to a depressive diagnosis. But that's going to be that tip of the iceberg. As you start to get higher and higher into the age range, you may see more of the typical signs of depression, like they look sad, they look down, they are isolating, they are crying. They may be able to communicate with you a little bit like, my life sucks. So that's going to change. Don't forget, and we've talked about this, behavior is the manifestation of an underlying issue. Okay?
That's really good. Really drive that point home, because we did in the ODD series, but really drive it home for these viewers, because that was a big game changer for me.
Right, so behavior is the surface of the iceberg. That's what you're seeing. That's that surface of the iceberg, right? I see this behavior, and the behavior is, I don't know, agitation, acting anxious, or throwing a temper tantrum, or talking back, or isolating themselves for a little while, or not wanting to go to school, not wanting to go to practice. But underneath it all, the reason they don't want to do these things is because they don't have the energy or the motivation, or they feel that it's hopeless, or they feel that it has no meaning anymore. That's the underlying theme to why they're acting that way. So you have to take that little tidbit of that manifestation of behavior and say, all right, there's something going on here, so let's look into it. You see things like decreased interest in things. I've had kids in my practice that present, and the parents would say, I don't know what his problem is. He's being so defiant. He's an all-state swimmer. He doesn't want to go to practice anymore. He just doesn't want to go.
Did my parents come see you? Because that's
Was
literally,
that you?
yeah, that would be me.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Just for everybody, I had no idea that that was you. But I had a patient like that, and they're saying, I don't know, is he just rebelling? Is he just rebelling because we're encouraging him to do this? And after I spoke with him, I realized that this kid is depressed. Because he was saying to me, Doc, what's the point? It really has no meaning to me anymore. I don't enjoy it anymore. I don't care if I win or lose. I just don't care. This is, of course, a big one and very obvious. Talking about death and talking about life and what's the meaning, the sense of hopelessness. Dealing with that case, I realized that he was a depressed guy, and treating his depression helped him, and he went on to be a really successful athlete. And that's not even that important. The most important thing is that he was happy again. Right? Of course, he was happy again. You may see a change in energy levels. All of a sudden, they just don't have energy, the same energy that they had. You're going to see a change in sleeping habits. In another case, I'll see a child that they're saying they're being resistant, they're avoiding school, they don't want to go to school in the morning. And you talk to the child and you realize, again, they're just sad and depressed, and they feel no motivation. They have what's called lassitude, where they just can't get ready. They can't get out of bed and take a shower and get prepared and get dressed and go through the structure of a school day, because they don't have the energy or the motivation or the desire, and they feel that there's no purpose. Now, that being said, there are a lot of other reasons that they might not want to go to school, and that could be an anxiety disorder, it could be oppositional defiant disorder, it could be rebellion. But my point is, seeing that change in behavior may lead to a depression diagnosis.
I really like this idea and this realization that if your child is screaming and yelling, what parents want to do is fix the screaming and yelling.
Right.
So they punish the kid for screaming and yelling, or they, maybe even worse, reinforce the kid with a toy or something to stop the screaming and yelling. But we're not addressing why the kid is screaming and yelling in the first place, which could be depression or anxiety or something like that.
Well said, perfectly said. And I'm going to take it a step further and say that if you're just decreasing the screaming and yelling by providing some sort of tangible reward, then they learn that all I have to do is scream and yell, I'm going to get what I want. And the truth of the matter is, getting that tangible reward is not going to ultimately make them happy. It's going to be a very temporary fix, but that underlying isolation and depression is going to grow, which is why you don't want to do that. You got to get to that underneath. And I remember seeing this photo. I bet you everyone has seen this picture of the iceberg, right?
Oh yeah.
Where there's like the tip of the iceberg out and there's this huge, huge iceberg underneath. I think that's a perfect analogy to something like depression and how kids will present with it. The pre-adolescents don't have the ability to understand what they're experiencing and don't have the ability to communicate it clearly, which you have to be a very, very good observer as a parent to pick up on those things. The adolescent, we talked about the average mood swings that kids have, and they do have that. But if you start to notice that they're not attending school, they're not spending time with their friends the way they used to, they're not doing things that they enjoyed, they're locking themselves in their rooms, their sleep habits have changed, their eating habits have changed, those are all signs of depression.
Thanks for watching. Check out the links below for more information on how to access this full series, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch new mental health videos every week. Did you like what you heard in this video? If you want to ask a MedCircle doctor a question directly, you can learn how by visiting the links in the description below.